What? 9 weeks? That is right, guys. It is 9 weeks until Drag Week 2020 Tech Day officially kicks off. And as you can see, I pulled apart a perfectly good running race car to make a plethora of changes. To do 2 things. Number 1, add a little bit more insurance to make sure it would survive Drag Week. Now, I was completely confident that it would survive Drag Week. It was definitely an 850 car all day before I even started pulling this thing apart. But number 2, the other goal that I have for 2020 is to stomp a freaking mud hole in Logan's. And here's how we're gonna do it. We're going to run a plethora of boosts, and in order to retain the boost, as you can see, I have made a little bit of changes, and here's where we are at currently. Nitrous Express, shout out to those guys over there. We have a nitrous kit put on the car, and the jetting is as of yet an unknown level, and not that I would tell you what it is anyway. That's gonna do 2 things. Number 1, it's gonna make this thing get up on the trans brake with the damn quickness, so I can race Logan heads up and not worry about, you know, spool time on this thing. Number 2, I've added a V-band coupler onto here to make sure this isn't gonna blow off under Big Boy Boost, and I'm also upgrading all the charge pipes to 3.5 inch, and I had to redo them anyway because I put this big Billy Badass 6-inch thick intercooler on here. This is an On3 performance unit. Quality is of question, but it's actually a pretty decent built unit. The one thing I don't like is how small the end tanks are here, and my concern is that as the boost comes in from here, that the majority of it's going to go through these lower ones right here, because how thin this is, to make this transition up to here and actually flow up here, I feel like you need a bigger end tank on here. But on the flip side of the coin, I do feel like this is going to be slightly more efficient than what I had before. And in the event that it's not, we still have meth injection on here. I'm going to upgrade these 9 gallon per minute or per hour, I don't know. I'm going from 9 to 12 nozzles on this thing to add a little bit more methanol to cool the whole Johnny here down. The engine remains the same, top to bottom, except one thing. These are custom age 625 head studs. If you're a fan of Marvel comic books, namely Wolverine or X-Men, these are basically made out of adamantium. That's right. Also known as unobtainium. I don't know what kind of magic and sorcery the ARP does with these head studs, but apparently this is the baddest 7/16 head stud that is on the market for this motor that you can get. Now, yes, these are insanely expensive, almost $1,000, but I did not pay that. I had a friend that converted a 1/2-inch head studs, and he hit me up and was like, hey, would you be interested in my 625 head studs for a substantially reduced cost? And I said, A right, I would. So these head studs are going to be going in, and I'm just going to take out my ARP Pro Series head studs, and I'm going to replace them with the 625 custom aged, one at a single freaking time. And then we're going to slap the top end back on the motor. Enough talking. Let's get to it. Okay, so I'm gonna spare you guys the pain of actually sitting here watching me torque 20 individual head studs. You guys don't wanna sit here and see that. So I've already got this side done right here, and you can see, boom, they're all done down there. This is basically what it's gonna look like when we're done. And as you can tell, there's some changes here that weren't previously on the car. These are tubular headers, down and forward or up and forward headers from Flowtech, which is under the Holley umbrella. I actually have a set of them for the C10. And the reason I switched to these is twofold. One, because they look bitchin', they're fully stainless. And 2, I can run an EGT setup on these. And it's a lot easier. So this is the CAN EGT setup from Holley, and it talks via a CAN bus network directly to any Holley ECU via this little black box right here. So the only connections that you have to make are all of these little guys right here to the harness, and then to the ECU connectors, that's it. If you're on a Holley ECU. These right here, as you can see, they're individual links. And when you look at them, you're like, well, those don't actually add up to be equidistant from each other. And these are equidistant. Here's the cool part. If you look at this, these little connectors right here, these little Phillips head screwdrivers, if you take them apart, there's only 2 wires inside of this thing, and you can actually trim these to length if you're creative. Or you can say, screw it, use a bunch of zip ties, tuck these things into the nether regions, much like Logan tucks his sack into his nether regions. The important thing about the Canny GT setup here is that you gotta make sure that the probes are installed equidistant. It's a really big word, you're impressed, I know you are. Equidistant from the flange, the port exit right here. Dude! Who's calling me? You are not important. Hang on. Hello?
Yeah, hi, is this Rye?
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Travis at Record Radio.
Oh, hey, how's it going? Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So I definitely thought that was a telemarketer calling me, but it wasn't. In fact, it was this company calling me back. Rugged Radios. Now, these guys are not sponsoring us on the channel. Dude, it's a 5-inch downpipe on this thing, and it's insanely loud, and I realized that it is super hard to hear anything. So I picked up this really cheap intercom from them, and it utilizes through a plethora of damn adapters to these aviation headsets that I got for super cheap. So it goes aviation headset adapted to this radio harness thing, and this thing runs off of 2 9-volt batteries. You can plug it into the car, but they said if you run it off the 9-volt batteries, it'll last for up to 20 hours without worrying about like interference coming from the chassis. It's got push to talk if you want to, and you can also just set it up so you can talk through the microphone without having to actually push a button, and you have the ability to input music. So we're gonna have tunes. We're not gonna have to listen to a 5-inch exhaust sounding like Monster Jam the entire damn time. And we'll be able to actually communicate with each other. And with the tunage going through there, I can actually run the GPS, the coordinates, like the directions will all come, navigation, the whole 9 through the headset. So that's gonna be really nice. Anyway, putting the EGT probes in, equidistant from the port exit as well as the depth in every single one of these primary tubes. The angle is not so much as important as the depth and the distance, and that's exactly what we set up here. I've already finished welded. The other header is just waiting to go on as soon as we're done with the head studs over there. This whole setup right here is gonna give me the ability to monitor the exhaust gas temperature and figure out what the cylinder to cylinder variances are. And it will also assist big time in identifying any cold holes, all right? And it's super simple to hook up. Shout out to Holley. Again, that will work with Dominator, HP, Terminator X, all of Holley's line of ECUs. We got the gap insurance from Nitrous Express over here, and 10 pounds of sauce over there being fed through these big mamma jammas right there. Not that we're going to need it for drag week, but we may need it for the end of drag week, because if you've ever paid attention to drag week in the years past, there's a couple things that happen. Well, there's one major thing that happens. One is the crazy 8 shootout. Top 8 cars in the street race small block power adder class. They say, you know what, guys? Let them hang. Let them eat. Screw the chassis certification. We want to see what you guys actually got. Because the class we run in really is a whole bunch of sandbag and 7-second cars. And the other thing that's going to happen this year, if you guys follow us on the channel, you probably also watch a little other channel, a little channel called Cletus McFarlane. And if you've been paying attention, they just recently came off of a terrific performance over on Rocky Mountain Race Week. And Cletus and James, or Garrett and James and Cooper, are all going to be attempting to run Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week. Now, I don't know if Cooper's going, but I know that Garrett, aka Cletus, is going to be riding shotgun with James and Ruby, and they're going to try their hand at Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week. And that leads me to the next point. Here's the deal. James, the gloves are off. This is your official call out, son. We've already talked. You've already agreed to the terms. If these cars, Ruby and Killface, survive drag week on Friday, after we turn in our slips and the dust is settled, you and me, regardless if they do a Crazy 8 shootout, are going toe to toe. This is your official call out. We got to come up with some sort of a wager. Let me know what you think. But this bad mamma jamma right here has your damn name on it. We both have diapers on the car, and honestly, at the end of drag week, I am not afraid to blow this thing sky high in the name of YouTube superiority. So that's the deal. We got a lot of work to do. I'm gonna stop running my mouth. I'm gonna get finished installing this Nitrous Express kit. I'm gonna get finished swapping these headers over and finish plumbing up all the Holley EFI stuff and get this thing ready for some testing. That's it for now. I'm out. Peace. I can't. Usually I snap my fingers and go like that from Ace Ventura, but I can't snap with my right hand. And I'm right-handed. It's really weird.